Initially, I was pretty excited to play Soldier of Fortune 2. I never played the Soldier of Fortune games back in the day, even though I knew they were popular, meaning they're probably pretty good, but I was just too busy. And then when I finally did have time, they didn't really work on proper computers. Well, when Soldier of Fortune was added on GOG, I decided to buy Soldier of Fortune 1 and 2, and give them a shot. I played Soldier of Fortune 1 a few months ago, and I even made a video on it, which you can watch above in the top right, and I enjoyed it. Soldier of Fortune 2 unfortunately didn't give me the same experience. Now, before you start flaming me in the comments about how it's your favorite game and my opinion is just wrong and I'm just dumb, please watch the whole video, because the whole video isn't actually that negative. But I'm going to be very negative at the beginning, so watch it all the way through, stick with me here. Soldier of Fortune 1 was a very Quake-like experience, and that's why I had a lot of fun with it. Soldier of Fortune 2 still kind of had that Quake experience, but it also was very tactical influenced, and to me that didn't mesh very well. The first level doesn't have any signs of anything going wrong. It was just a linear, straightforward shooter, or there are enemies shooting at you, they gib in hilarious ways, you got loud, punchy guns. It was pretty fun. But the first warning signs come in the level immediately after that, where you're thrown into a forced stealth section. If you've been watching this channel for any period of time, you know I hate these. By forced stealth section, I mean once the enemy sees you, you fail, restart from checkpoint. To me, that's lazy game development and is just inexcusable. It doesn't feel like I failed. I didn't get a chance to defend myself. Instead, now it feels like I'm playing a puzzle game of trial and error instead of a first-person shooter. There is right ways to do stealth, and this is not it. To make matters worse, the only reason this stealth section exists is because the whole game wouldn't make any sense if you didn't get forced into that stealth section. For example, if I just went through and shot everyone at that train station, the following cutscene of me getting away quietly would make no sense, because everyone within 20 miles would know exactly where I was and that I just murdered everyone. Which then begs the question, why not just make it a cutscene of you stealthing onto the train? Because it wouldn't have changed a damn thing and it wasn't enjoyable. Story should never override the gameplay experience, especially since nobody plays Soldier of Fortune for the story. What do you know about Soldier of Fortune? Guns and gore. That's what you should stick to, that's your strength. On top of all of this, they added weird stealth mechanics that feel very rushed and just not fleshed out at all. You can, in theory, stealth through missions, but it's almost impossible. You have some suppressed weapons to get headshots with, and some throwing knives. If you either don't get a fatal shot on an enemy, or you walk even remotely within their eyesight, instantly everyone on the level knows where you are and an alarm starts blaring. You cannot turn this alarm off, so get used to hearing it for the whole level. At that point, it's just turned into a generic Soldier of Fortune game with an alarm that just won't shut up. You can see how this could get really irritating, but it's not necessarily game-breaking by any means, it's just a little bit baffling. If the stealth mechanics weren't even close to being finished, why add them in the game? And keep in mind, this is not me being bad at stealth, this is just the instant alert of every enemy on the map the moment one of them sees you. There's no sort of like, oh, they've kind of seen you, so you get a chance to slink away or kill them before they notice. No, they just instantly see you the moment they look anywhere near you. And apparently they all share the same mind. It's not worth even bothering trying to stealth, just shoot them and deal with the alarm. Again, this doesn't ruin the game by any means, but there's just a lot of really small things that sour your overall experience. To list another small one, you can't swap weapons while you're reloading. You have to wait until that entire animation plays out, then you can go into menus or swap guns. In any other game, you could just cancel that reload with swapping to another gun, like your pistol, and then shoot the enemy that turned the corner while you're reloading. Not in this game. To make matters worse, when you have to swap weapons, the way you do this is like Half-Life 1. Say if you want to pull out an SMG, you press 3, and then press 3 again if you want to go down 1, and then you click to swap to that weapon. Well, you can't bring up this menu while you're reloading. I've had instances where I've accidentally killed myself because I was reloading a rocket launcher, waiting for it to get done, press 3 and then click. Well, the menu didn't pop up because I was reloading, so instead I just shot a rocket at a wall, killing myself after a very difficult section, having to do it all over again. This is the stuff that drives you insane while you're playing games, and it really is far more infuriating than it should be. Just small stuff that adds up that makes you just lose it. Another thing that gets very irritating very quick is the fact that you move like a snail when you're either crouching or prone. And there are sections in this game where you have to prone a pretty far distance. So you're slowly waltzing along on the ground until you eventually make it there. It takes forever to get anywhere. This guy's supposed to be some tactical SEAL or something. I can crawl twice as fast and still be quiet. Why can't he? This game also has a serious case of where the fuck do I go syndrome. It's not a difficult game with intricate puzzles, the game just doesn't draw the player's eyes to where he needs to go most of the time. For example, I may wander around for 10 minutes before giving up and looking up a walkthrough just to find out that in that specific section, I'm supposed to cut open a fence, which I've never had to do before and I'll never have to do again, which was also in a darker section of the map with no lighting to really point my eyes over there, so why would I figure out that's what I need to do or that's where I need to go? Especially since your eyes were diverged to the pipe leading to the section that you were supposed to go to, knowing you're supposed to be on that other side, but you don't know how to get there. Another example is I just got done escorting a scientist who then starts this dialogue insinuating there was a way to get out of the Russian compound we're in, but nothing happens, and he stands there, and nothing happens. So I wandered around for a while trying to figure out what to do before again giving up and looking at a walkthrough just to find I was supposed to lockpick open a door and hit a switch which moves the cart. Why does that extra step need to be there, and why was that extra switch underneath a dark catwalk? Again, nothing draws the player's eyes over there, and instead their attention is diverged to the scientist who doesn't do anything. Let's take a third example. I'm in a plane and I'm supposed to jump out of this plane. I know that because the cutscene just said. And I can walk to the door that leads to outside the plane for me to jump out of it, but I can't open it. So I wander around the plane for 10 minutes before again giving up and looking at a walkthrough, and instead I'm supposed to go to the bottom floor and press a switch on a bottom generator. There's nothing telling me I can even interact with this. It looks like the other stuff on the plane. Why would I know to do this, and why does it open the door? This game is chock full of experiences like this, and unless you've played the game numerous times before, you are going to get lost and confused and have to consult a walkthrough. It really feels like the game was incredibly rushed and needed some more time before they pushed it out. It could have greatly benefited from some simple playtesting. At this point, I'll probably get that smartass in the comments saying, oh, you're just some dumb kid that doesn't play old shooters, you're just bad at games. First of all, I'm 28 years old and I grew up playing these shooters, so I'm definitely not just some dumb kid that doesn't know how. Secondly, I can look back at my favorite games and acknowledge there are problems with them, and this is definitely a problem. On top of all this frustration, some levels can be very good or very bad. Some levels are genuinely interesting, like fighting in an airport or fighting in an airplane before Modern Warfare 2 ever did this. And some levels are just frustratingly boring, like 2 hours of the Russia level of dark snow and gray concrete corridors. The same thing, shooting the same AK against the same enemies for 2 hours. The game is 8 hours long. 2 hours is the same boring, monotonous level. It will drive you insane, and you will quickly become not very fond of this game on that level. All of this would have been fine if it was just that. Halo has the same problem, but way worse. Let's bring up Halo 1 for example. This is the same game that has one of the best levels of all time, the Silent Cartographer, and one of the worst levels of all time, the Library. Same exact game, but Halo is still a great game. What truly makes this actually frustrating are all the mishaps and weird game decisions, and all of these really start to come to light on the Columbia level. This level is pretty infamous just because it's way more difficult than it needs to be. For starters, you're in Colombia, so you're in a rainforest, and the whole thing is full of vegetation. That's obvious. The problem is, it has the Far Cry 1 problem, where enemies can see you through this vegetation, but you can't see them, and they have perfect accuracy. To make matters worse about these AI, they're like the World at War veteran AI, they just constantly throw grenades every 5 seconds. Except you don't have grenade indicators, and the grenades don't make a distinct enough noise for you to know they've really landed at your feet, so you just randomly die all the time from grenades. If this sounds frustrating, it is. But it gets worse on this level. For a good quarter of this level, you're stuck to a Marine squad that you randomly come across. If you get more than 50 feet away from them, they start getting pissy at you saying that you're gonna ruin the whole mission. Well, okay, whatever, screw you, I don't care, I'm gonna go have fun and shoot some more enemies. Well, if you wander farther away, they literally just kill you. And I don't mean they turn against you, I mean you just die. It's like you hit a kill wall or something. What is this bullshit? Why would you do that? The level at this point becomes an escort quest with these annoying Marines that walk so slowly. I remember at one point, I just wanted to walk around a building to get a better angle at an enemy, and they just killed me. I got no farther than 50 feet away, and I just died.
Fuck this game. Fuck this game so hard. This is the most bullshit thing. I have to do all of that over again now. Outright. It's bullshit. Fuck you.
The first time this happened to me, I actually had no idea what happened. I didn't know why I died. It's not made clear. I only realized after that, because they get pissy at you every time you move away, that this is actually what's killing me, instantly without warning. This game also tried to have a realistic depiction of the OICW, and I guess they kind of succeeded because it's worthless. You know there's a problem when you need a tutorial for a specific gun 70% of the way through the game, after you're already well acquainted with all the game's mechanics. This OICW is confusing. You have 4 extra buttons just to navigate the gun. So for starters, the base gun itself is really nothing special, 3-round burst or semi-automatic, and it has a good amount of recoil and in general isn't very good compared to some of the other guns in the game. You can scope with it and turn it to semi-automatic and use it as just a glorified sniper rifle if you really want to, but again, there are better choices for that. The part that gets confusing is how to use the grenade launcher, or really just anything in the scope. Alright, so get this, when you're scoped in, 5 zooms in, 6 zooms out. Alright, nothing too fancy, although I don't know why that can't just be attached to the scroll wheel, but whatever. 7 goes down 1 in the menu, and 8 selects whatever that's hovering over. If you want to use the grenade launcher, you have to press 8 while the menu is hovering over that setting to go from 556 to shooting a grenade. Alright, so that doesn't sound too terrible, right? Well, you can't just fire a grenade wherever you want to. You have to press 7 to go down 1 in the menu, hold 8 to laze a target, then you can shoot grenades. You can't shoot grenades unless you laze a target. You might think that you can just laze a certain range with the target and then use it whenever, but no, you have to laze every time you go into the scope before you can shoot the grenade launcher. It's completely useless. Like I said, they tried to replicate the actual OICW, but they just made it convoluted and completely pointless to even use. Why would I use this stupid thing if I could use the M4203 and shoot a grenade whenever I want to by simply right-clicking? It's such an obnoxious inclusion because the OICW, even though it's big and kind of useless in person, could be a really cool gun in video games, but it's just not done well in about any game. And if it was going to be done well, it just didn't make it into the final game like Half-Life 2. To make matters worse, this game has input problems for me. I don't know what's causing this, but randomly, and pretty frequently, my gun will just shoot in full auto, and I'm not clicking anything. It's just shooting, wasting all my ammo. In order for me to get it to stop, I have to click again, and sometimes that doesn't work. I have no idea why this happens. But I've not talked about the biggest problem of them all, a little setting called Weapon Inaccuracy. It does exactly what you'd think, makes your weapons completely inaccurate for no reason. And when I say for no reason, I truly do mean for no reason. This isn't like Counter-Strike where you have a specific spread that you need to follow. No, your guns just shoot in random directions. Except for it's not made clear where your bullets are going, so it looks like you're shooting right at an enemy, and you just miss. For no reason. It makes the entire gunplay feel like garbage, and keep in mind this game came out in 2002 before iron sighting was really a thing, so you can't iron sight to make the gun more accurate. No, it's just always inaccurate. The best way I can describe it is imagine Halo reaches bloom, but times 10, and it also applies to the first shot. It doesn't get less accurate over time, it just starts inaccurate and gets even more inaccurate. So even tap firing doesn't really save you. Well, after I streamed this game for about 4 hours, I just was kind of done. I did get by the Columbia level, and it didn't really get a ton better after, but the Columbia level was definitely the low point, and I was just not really having fun with it. I decided I just wasn't going to stream it anymore, and I wasn't confident in making a video of a game I'd never even beat, so I was just gonna drop it. Well, this is the point where Drake started linking me some mods for the game, and after I saw some weapon mods to add in some of the weapons that were originally cut, and some gore mods, and some mods to add some more graphical effects like muzzle flashes and stuff, I figured I'll give it another shot. Since I installed these mods, I had to start the game over again, and I figured I'd tweak with the difficulty a little bit. Before I was playing on normal difficulty. Yes, normal, I wasn't playing on hard. This game has easy, normal, hard, all the regular difficulty settings, but there's one more. Custom. So I clicked on that and figured I'd look at it. The custom difficulty setting has 4 options. The first option allows you to change the regular difficulty setting, easy, normal, hard, etc. The second option allows you to change how many quick saves you can have per level, which I put to unlimited because they're quick saves, those should always be unlimited. Imagine playing Half-Life and only having 5 quick saves per chapter, that'd just be dumb. The one after that is how many weapons you can carry, which I also put as unlimited because this feels like an old shooter, and just let me carry as many guns as I want. Limiting me isn't really as fun. But this last option is the one I really want to focus on. This last option is the one that changed the entire game. Inaccurate weapons. Turning this off made the game instantly more enjoyable. Keep in mind, the mods didn't really change anything. They changed the gun sound effects, added in some cut weapons, and changed some graphical stuff. They didn't change enemy AI or the levels by any means. It was this inaccurate weapon setting alone that made the game much more fun. Within this second stream, I got to where I was in the first stream in half the time. What took me originally 4 hours only took 2 hours this time. And it was because of this option. It just made the game actually feel fair to the player. Magically, the enemies weren't more accurate than me for no reason. I could actually shoot back. And with the setting turned off, it didn't make the weapons just laser beams. The weapons still had recoil and they still had spread if you held the trigger down, so I don't know why it's even there. But the mod did change one thing that also made the game more fun. It changed all the sound effects to the weapons, and they were okay before, but this made them a little punchier. But I want to focus on one sound alone. The sound of the grenades. They replaced the default one with the grenade sound in Call of Duty 4. which is distinct and you can actually hear. This is a huge improvement because when I say the enemies throw grenades like the veteran difficulty in World at War, I really do mean it. About every 5 seconds. The first thing they do when they see you, they throw a grenade. And if you don't know where they're landing, and you keep in mind you have no grenade indicator, you just die. So actually hearing the sound effect is a huge quality of life change. And that's all it really took to make the gunplay actually feel fun and enjoyable and have some of the levels be genuinely great. Unfortunately, everything else still applies. For a stealth section, a stealth mechanic that doesn't really work, forcing you to listen to this alarm throughout entire levels, having to stay close to these Marines without them killing you, not knowing where you're supposed to go, the game is definitely a flawed game, but the base gunplay is actually genuinely fun. It's a weird case where I see where people could have liked this game, but there are so many flaws that I just question how it got such good reviews back in the day. Maybe it's because it was ambitious and tried things that games didn't really try yet. I mean, this was 2 years before Half-Life 2 really kind of pushed things, but still, it really did make a lot of mistakes. I would like this game a lot more if they just focused purely on combat like they did with the first one, but that's not what they did. They also tried to push the story a lot further too, but this came out as only really a time waste. Who really plays Soldier of Fortune for the story? It's always kind of been B-movie-esque. But at least the first game felt like they were self-aware. The second game doesn't, and I kind of rolled my eyes a lot. It's just very corny. I wouldn't care and this would be all fine and dandy, but the game likes to shove the story at you and you have to listen. You can skip cutscenes if you want, but this game regularly loads you into full levels where you're just walking around listening to NPCs talk. Remember when Half-Life 2 kind of tried this with, say, Black Mesa East, and it worked because there was a good atmosphere to it and you actually cared about the characters, and even though it killed replayability for the first 1 or 2 times you play it, you're genuinely interested. Well, I wasn't genuinely interested on the first time playing this game. The graphics weren't really there to do this either. This is 2002, and the lip syncing just looks laughably bad. In fact, the whole game kind of looks a little off. Some levels look actually genuinely good, like the airport level or the Hong Kong level, and then some levels look absolutely terrible, like the Russia level. It's like some pieces of the game were far more rushed than the others. There could have been large sections cut out of this game and I would have been perfectly fine. But back to the story, you're going to be doing a lot of walking around and listening to people talk. And a lot of waiting for people to slowly walk their ass over to you to start talking to you. For example, this level takes 10 minutes. Most of which you're just waiting for this bitch to slowly walk to you when you just want to play the game. I might sound like I'm being impatient here, but you just have to wait a lot in this game, and it's Soldier of Fortune. Imagine if Doom 2016 did this, how much that would sour that experience. Doom 2016 only had a few very brief dialogue moments for this exact reason. People want to get out there, shoot stuff, and really mess with the whole guns and gore. That's the driving force of Doom, that's the driving force of Soldier of Fortune. That's what you should focus on. In this case, it seems like they really tried to do too much, and I'm harping on it a lot because the potential is really big here to be a really good game. But unfortunately, I just kind of look at the reviews and I'm just confused as to how they were so good. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but I would be hard-pressed to give it anything more than a 7. It's a game with some very high highs and some very low lows. But speaking of low lows, the next game I'm going to be streaming is Soldier of Fortune Payback. People have been asking for it. I know it's apparently a very bad game. I haven't played it, and let's just see how bad it is. If you guys want to see that, I stream over to twitch.tv/Jarek4GamingDragon, and if you want to help farther, my Patreon is patreon.com/Jarek4. I also have my own Discord with their own special roles if you are a Twitch sub or a patron. Patrons and Twitch subs get to see videos a day early ahead of time, and also get to join in on some Patreon and Twitch streams. So if you want to support me, you can get that stuff. And I say this after every single video, but I really want to make sure you guys know how helpful it is. Just all the donations, all the bits, all the Twitch subs, all the patrons. It helps beyond measure. Actually, no, the measure is paying bills and rent. It helps so much with that. So thank all of you people for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time or over on Twitch.